Yeah. And there's a way it's independence. Yeah. It's perfect. Mm-hmm.
Chris, you're in it?
Yep.
Meeting will come to order at Montcalm County Board of Commissioners, regular meeting for Monday, July 27th. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Invite you to remain standing for the invocation. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Chairman Peterson.
Pastor Dennis Ross, lead us in prayer, please.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the rain that we so desperately needed, for providing all that we need. Pray for this meeting, for our Board of Commissioners, as they direct the affairs of this county, that they would do that which is right and pleasing in your eyes, that they would be helpful, beneficial to meeting all the needs here in this county. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call.
Alexander.
Here.
Johnston.
Here.
Peterson.
Yes, ma'am.
Johnson.
Here.
Mahar.
Here.
Carr.
Yes.
And Murray.
Here.
Everyone's here. We have a quorum. On tonight's agenda, I don't have anything to change. Does anyone else?
Mr. Chair,
Johnston.
I would move to approve our agenda as presented. Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve the agenda as presented. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. On the meeting minutes, everyone have a copy of the meeting minutes from the last regular meeting, July 13th, 2026.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Johnston.
I move to approve our minutes from our regular board meeting, July 13th, 2026 as presented.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve the minutes of the last regular board meeting, July 13th, 2026 as presented. Discussion. If there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comments.
Dale May, Evergreen Township. Mr. Chairman, despite repeated attempts on my part to advocate for 24/7 patrol, road patrol, and full staffing in the prosecutor's office, this board continues to put the public at risk. Mark E. Pettengill and Latrice M. McFerrin were killed by an intoxicated driver going 114 miles per hour at approximately 11 p.m. The law enforcement agencies that responded was the state of Michigan troopers. In 2012, Sheriff Barnwell announced that 24/7 road patrol would no longer be available by county deputies. This was due to the Board of Commissioners overspending $8 million between 2008 and 2012. You were the chairman at this time. Now it is 14 years later, and we still don't have 24/7 patrol. The gospel, according to Matthew, St. Matthew chapter 12, verse 25, Jesus said, "Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand." This division between this Board of Commissioners and the two law enforcement offices is very apparent and very public. And yet you are all elected under the same political party. Mr. Chairman, in my contemplation of this matter, I conclude that you and this board are the elephants in the room. Mr. Chairman, an elephant, Mr. Chairman, is a nearsighted and can't see beyond 33 to 65 feet before its vision becomes blurry. I have concluded that this board is filled with spendthrifts to anything that meets their individual fancy while ignoring the basic need of public safety. The only possible solution at present is for you to resign as commissioner, along with the commissioner to the immediate right of you and the commissioner to the immediate left of you. These three, plus a couple others, are danger to public safety. How much of the lives, and children work that this board has willfully neglected its sworn duty to protect Montcalm County citizens? Ask the 5-year-old boy, who lost his parent who lost their child. There's no price to justify the conduct of this board. There's no excuse, especially when you spend $5,000 on library parking extension, $10,000 on landscaping for a vacant lot, and $100,000 from a public safety grant, which is restricted. And I got that right, to build a doghouse with electricity. And I'm confident this is just a tip of the iceberg. There's all this stuff you guys do, this $2 billion you set aside over here and put out stuff, and this $50 million you got, and yet people are saying that go down at border, go 70 miles an hour down there. You just don't care. I don't know. I've given up on you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? If not, our 405 agenda item, we have Lena Pappas from Eagle to discuss the potential for monitoring well at Crump Park. Welcome.
Thank you. Just come in this way.
Yeah, sure.
Here's fine.
Maybe by a microphone there somewhere.
Oh,
Yeah.
how's that work?
Yeah, good.
You can hear me okay? Okay. Hello. I'm Lena Pappas. I'm the Groundwater and Geological Services Section Manager inside of the Geologic Resources Management Division inside of Eagle. We have been charged with building out a statewide groundwater monitoring network that I have actually provided you guys some materials on there. This is a larger nationwide effort. Part of it is a larger nationwide effort to actually understand groundwater availability across the country. But Michigan has really focused on collecting its own data and maintaining its own network, right? It's part of the reason why we have gone through various iterations of what the monitoring well network has looked like. And so at the moment, we're in the process of working with a subcontractor, it's Weston Solutions, to actually rehabilitate approximately 300 wells across the state to build out the state's groundwater monitoring network. Oh, do you have any questions for me right now, or?
Yeah, I guess I had a question to start with. I was reading the consent to enter form, and I noticed it said that there was existing wells.
That's correct.
So we do have an existing well somewhere?
Most likely. The one for Cramp Park,
Yes,
the one you're
that's the
talking
one,
about?
yeah.
Yes. So if they have sent you a request to enter form for an existing well, what had happened was approximately, I want to say, oh gosh, show how old I am right now, but 30 years ago, they had, the USGS had a statewide monitoring network that was actually owned and operated by them. But essentially, my assumption is they lost funding. And so then those 300 wells that we're working on rehabilitating are actually part of that previous network that had existed. So the first step that we've been doing across the state is actually finding those old wells, right? Because after 30 years, the wells can become in disrepair and they're overgrown and things change around them. And so they're actually out locating those wells. And if they've found one in that park, they'll either work to incorporate it into the network, or if the city has chosen to, they will come in and actually abandon it. So it's no longer a structure that exists inside the park that could potentially cause issues to the aquifer.
So then all of our other parks, would those be new wells that Eagle would put in?
That's right. So, I mean, It wouldn't be Eagle right now. All we're doing is currently trying to rehab those other locations. I think what you're referring to is actually the work out of the Michigan Geological Survey.
Yep.
We had partnered with them, and they are doing statewide mapping, essentially trying to understand the geology throughout different counties. And so then it sounds like they're making it its way out here to your county. So yeah, so that's probably what that is. If they're trying to install new wells, right? I think that was Nate Erber had possibly reached out with a list of different locations. Then that's what that is. So Michigan is currently rehabbing existing wells, and then the MGS is working to install new ones.
Okay, so those are all monitoring wells too, because it just
They
said
can be.
drill.
Yeah.
I just thought it was like coring.
Yeah, it could be that. And then in certain locations, they try to convert them. So essentially, that's, I mean, the beginning step of installing any well anyway, right? Is like
Okay.
putting in the hole in the ground.
Yep.
And then you'll be able to develop that into a well if that was a location that would fill a data gap inside of the statewide network.
So your guys' ask is only for Cramp Park right now.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So if there's an existing well there that they're going to rehab, why do we
Mhm.
need to use the hole that the geological survey is getting permission to drill there?
You don't always. So, I mean, that would be Sydney Ruhala has more details on the exact distribution of wells across the state. Additional information is sometimes more useful than less, right? Like if I'm sure you guys know if you install a well, there's oftentimes many layers of aquifers that are present based on the depth that you end up installing the well at. And so then sometimes even if they are located relatively close together, it can actually be giving us information on different aquifer systems.
So you don't know for sure if there's an existing well at Cromp Park or not?
That I would have to double check about.
There
Well,
might
according to
be
your-
something there.
According to your map right
Mhm.
here, there's not one in Montcalm County.
Okay.
And then follow-up question to that for me is why wouldn't you use state land where you don't need our permission?
We actually do try to do that. We have an agreement with the DNR, and then we look at other state properties right throughout different counties. So, I mean, really, it's up to you. It's your property. If you want a well or okay with us having a well there, then we'll own and operate it, and then abandon it and maintain it as needed. And then if you do not want it there, then we'll come in and we actually abandon it. Just remove the material and restore the ground surface to what was there prior.
Okay.
So.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My pleasure.
I think there is something at Cromp Park, because I know Doug and I have wondered before if it was an old well that was, I think there's a steel plate or something there.
Yeah.
Before our time.
Okay.
Doesn't mean that's what it is. It could have been a well we put down and then didn't use.
Sure.
If this was already talked about, I apologize, but what is the specific location of interest?
That I would have to double check. Right now, our data sets are stored tabularly, right? So I have the location of approximately where it is inside of Cromp Park, but I'm not that familiar with the details of the park layout. A lot of the time, those are something that can be ironed out. So if this is a new well that we'll be installing, or if maybe you just don't want it in its current location and you want us to move it somewhere else, we'll actually work with you to find a location that works well for the park, right? Because we understand that people use it for other things other than just
I think you're
collecting
asking
data.
Yeah,
the location of
sorry.
Cromp Park.
Yeah, because we have
Yeah.
lots of
Oh.
county properties, but this seems to be specific to what you're looking for. Why there?
I think there was already a well there. A lot of the time, that's actually why. And then MGS is working, directly on their own. So MGS's work is kind of tangential to ours, right? It's it's related to one another, but it's for kind of different purposes. Oops, sorry, talk with my hands. different purposes. We're collecting groundwater data. They're trying to characterize geology throughout the state. So throughout Montcalm County, they're trying to understand the distribution of like different sands, gravels, clays, whatever. And so if they chose Grant Park, it's because there's a piece of information that's missing as they are trying to build in their maps of where everything is located. And so then they'll try to install something there to get some information in an area that they're currently missing data on.
Can you speak to the likelihood of using the same hole that they used to do a core sample? We were told that they're going to go several hundred feet deep
Yeah.
coring that, and that this monitoring well would be way shallower than that. And so it wouldn't go down the same hole. It'd be in the same proximity, but it would be drilled in a separate hole. It's not like there's any benefit to a pre-existing hole that they used. It's almost just tagging on permission to do it because they got permission, but the hole's going to be separate. Can you speak to that?
Sure. That's pretty standard, actually. So if you drill a very, very deep core or a very deep well, a lot of the times you've removed the material underneath, right? And so what you can actually end up doing inadvertently is creating more conduit down into the bedrock layers than what you had originally intended to create. And so what drillers will do is they just step off a couple of feet and they use the existing understanding of the geology and they just kind of almost blind drill down to that target depth, and then they'll install the screen there. Is it's just a little bit better integrity of the ground surface in that location.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone else?
In the private sector, there's already a lot of monitoring wells out there,
Yeah, that's true.
specifically in agriculture. Why doesn't Eagle contact some of the growers that are using those wells and get the data that way? It seems like that would be a far better use of taxpayer resources.
Sure. So we actually do have some of that data that's collected on behalf of the agricultural community, right? Like anytime you install a well inside of Michigan, they're required to collect that data and then submit a well record to the state of Michigan that includes the static water level or the water level after a couple of days of drilling at the time that they submit that record. So we actually do have that data already. A lot of what ends up happening around those areas that are being dewatered and pumped for agricultural use is it's changing the water table. So a lot of the information that we're trying to collect is actually information outside of those areas that would otherwise be influenced by other uses of groundwater impact, right? So if somebody has lowered the table, that doesn't really give us an understanding of what's happening kind of in the rest of the environment in an area away from where agricultural pumping is happening.
But I think what Commissioner Murray is referring to isn't the well log of a well being drilled, what the static and the depth is. It's monitoring wells that growers have drilled and are getting 24/7 readings on them instead of what we're being told. The Eagle's approach is to dump a 5-gallon pail of water down the hole and see how fast it goes away. They've got transducers in these wells that are reading them, and no one's reached out and said, hey, can we tag on and get this data from you?
Sure. So actually, we would love to partner with those folks. I think I know who you're referring to. There's a group that over in Southwest Michigan has developed a set of data that's available that includes transducer data. And I mean, I think it would be lovely to be able to partner with them. If they were willing to share some of that information, you know, we'd be happy to go that route. I'm not sure that's something that was of interest to that group just recently, but I mean, if that has changed since the last time we spoke, I mean, I would be open to that suggestion.
Okay. And I mean, obviously I can't speak for them, but that,
Right.
I mean, understand where that comes from. If the information's already out there, why do we need to duplicate it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, all of that information is good, right? I think we do have to do some due diligence relative to those 300 wells that have been left across the state, right? Like I'd love to see those maybe cleaned up a little bit more. But groundwater monitoring data, if we're able to build it into the network, I think only serves to further our own goal anyway, which was to build out that network, whether someone else collects it or Eagle collects it, right? The state of Michigan has to pay to collect it. So.
I'll ask a question. So we're an agricultural, community.
Yeah.
And there is some concern among that community that the data that you're going to be receiving could be used in the future to either prevent them from doing irrigation or limit or tax. I mean, is there anything that you'd be willing to say that may put their mind at ease?
Sure. I mean, that is definitely not the goal of the groundwater monitoring network, right? The monitoring network is kind of a little bit more long-term vision of what's happening, right? Like we're trying to understand at a large scale, much larger really than anything we would need in order to like do what you're suggesting, right? Like in order to do what you're suggesting, we would need site-specific data, like actually targeted specific data that would have a much denser distribution across the state than wells that are placed like hundreds of miles apart, right? Like that's not going to actually give us the type of information that we would need, even if we wanted to go after a specific farmer, right? Like that's ultimately not the goal of the groundwater monitoring network. The groundwater monitoring network is supposed to help us understand those long-term water availability trends. So think like 10 years, 20 years, something where we can kind of look out into the distance and say, is there more water available? Is there less water available? What can we do with this information to actually inform other conversations that, we haven't really been able to have because we haven't had that data available to us. So it's not, it's not even dense enough to be able to do the type of thing that you're suggesting, actually. So.
I had a question.
Mhm.
So I assume we're not the first county you've went to.
No, no.
Has there been any issues anywhere else? And I guess where else have you done this?
So, I mean, I've had a chance to speak to a lot of different counties actually. And some of the topics, they really vary. I think the one that we spend the most time with really is Ottawa County, right? Because they still have a groundwater based water supply system. And really they're identifying kind of the limits of their underground aquifer, right? Like they have a lot of different water use needs in that area that are all supposed to come from that same aquifer. So they're using it for agricultural, they're using it for residential. They don't tie into the other water supply system that actually feeds Grand Rapids that comes from the Great Lakes supply. And so as a result, we end up spending quite a bit of time actually interacting with their water board that they've developed over there. Besides that, I think recently I've had a chance to speak with, I think before that was Oakland County, actually. So Oakland County had a situation in which they were looking to permit their own water withdrawal, which is actually in our regulation that the state has the ability to regulate those, and then local units of governments really aren't supposed to add on additional layers of bureaucracy. And so we've been trying to come alongside to try to educate and help them understand where they're coming from and maybe what their potential liabilities are. Besides that, I mean, really, we're open to speak to whoever has questions and concerns. Obviously, we're working in your backyard, and it's a lot of it's information that's going to be useful to you all, and as well as us. And so, I mean, really, we're here to help folks understand what it is that we've been asked to do on behalf of the state, right? So.
Anyone else?
I got a question.
Sure.
So is it the state's concern maybe that our aquifers may be drying up? Like the Oglala aquifer out west is?
Well, I think it's certainly a possibility, right? So, I've had a couple of chances to go to other forums and speak. And this assumption just keeps coming up, right? Like it feels like sometimes when we talk about water resource availability inside of Michigan, people have this assumption that we're just like this giant sponge afloat in a bathtub, right? Like, and if you just stick this straw down through the sponge, you'll be able to tap into the Great Lakes and just infinite amounts of water will really be there. When really we have a geologic structure just like any other state. And while we do have the Great Lakes and we do have pretty high precipitation rates relative to the rest of the country, there's still going to be a limit to that water that's available. You can almost think of aquifers as like a water reservoir. And if you think about it as a reservoir, essentially what that means is that there's going to be bounds to it, right? Like it's not something that exists indefinitely. It isn't a sponge afloat a lake, right? And so I think folks over in Ottawa County have had a chance to realize that there are limits as they start pulling up some of that brine water from the bottom of the Michigan Basin that ultimately has an impact on what they are able to use it for.
Anyone else? What is our latest? We've tabled the request. Are we prepared to vote on that today, or do you want to continue to think about it? What's your pleasure?
Yes, I didn't realize we had an existing well. I feel like that's new information to us.
I didn't either. But I know Doug and I have been over there and wondered what that was. That makes me think that's what it is.
Yeah.
I think you're not the first, honestly.
Yeah.
So
We just assumed it was something we put in and then
Yeah.
it dried up, so we covered it. Because there's nothing, no label or anything. There's no identifying anything on it.
right. Well, I mean, after 30 years, what's left, right? Like a lot of the time these things end up, I can remember early in my career, I spent a bunch of time with like a thing, like a, whatever that's called, the treasure hunter.
Metal detector.
Thank you. There we go. Thank you. And, and you just like wander around in a field for like a couple of hours trying to find this like buried well, and you find it under like, a foot of grass because everything's kind of grown over it. And then you spend the rest of the day digging it out. So, yeah, I don't think you're the first, right? We can actually build it as a stick up, right? Like so that it doesn't grow over or we could have it, they build like concrete pads or whatever. So, I mean, really it's designed to be flexible. So if you're okay with it being there, that would be great. If you don't want it there, just, let us know and we can abandon it.
Put it on the agenda for next meeting.
That's an option.
Mhm. Yeah, think about it.
Is that a motion?
So moved, yes.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to put the request for the Eagle test monitoring well at Cromp Park on the agenda for the next meeting. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you for your time.
Our 425, we have Steve Schofield with us to talk about the annual fall electronics recycle event. Welcome.
Guess we'll sit here. All right, good. Okay, well, Steve Schofield, I come on behalf of Montcalm Community College. I'm an instructor there for technology, been a technology person for 30 plus years. So this would be, I guess a little history, this would be the third installment of a recycle thing. The first year we did it, I didn't know that we did one here in Stanton. So we did a thing at the college campus and we did Greenville to try to do that. And as you learn, you guys do the one in the spring and learn more. So we complemented one where my goal originally was to provide a central one, which you guys do in the spring here, and one in Greenville. So last year we did one just in Greenville. I don't think we came officially last year. It was more, I think, administratively. And we switched providers from CompreNew to the one that the county uses. Is it Chupan? So Jason, so in the request, you have a quote from Jason. He's my contact at Chupan. And I don't know the final bill last year, but it was so we hosted a single 24-foot truck at the Greenville campus. And it was a 3-hour, we had about 150 cars, 175 cars come in that 3-hour time frame at the Greenville campus, had a really good social media marketing thing. And so I'm back for to request if this is something that the county would like to invest as a recycle event. I don't charge my time. The college is gracious to give us their parking lot. They don't charge us any rent, and that's where we do host it. So from a cost perspective, it's the recycle, and I would have to defer to Brenda what the cost was last year from Chupon. If you have
$4,938.45.
Okay, so I asked the original budget, I think was approved was, I believe, 4,000. I think that was the first year. Last year, I won't trust my memory, but I asked Jason for a range, and he quoted between 5,000 and 6,000. So from an electronics recycle perspective, we fully filled their 24-foot truck. They brought their staff in to monitor and take the stuff. And I'm here today to request, I'm going to have an event. It's going to be tentatively on September 19th at the Greenville campus. So I'd asked, in the notes that I sent you all, it was 19 to 26. I sent a follow-up to Jason, and he said the 19th that they're more open. They had a couple, so they wouldn't be available as much on the 26th. So I know you're not so much concerned where and in what time and stuff as much as the cost, but I'm just, this is what we did the third year. So I guess to be respectful of your time and attention, if you have any questions.
Okay, anyone questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Vice Chairman Peterson.
Brenda, did this come out of like the public improvement fund or something
Yeah.
like that?
Yep.
And we have money in there for things such as this, correct?
Yeah. The first year we did it, it was $3,938. So it went up by $1,000 about.
Yeah, when CompreNew did it. Yeah.
We took some more stuff.
Yeah, well, CompreNew gave us a introductory rate that would have been about, if I remember right, around $2,000. They took in some things that were normally they would charge for, but it was I had partnered with them for some other activities at the college, so they kind of gave us an introductory rate. We aligned with them during the tech week, so there's an event that's kind of loosely coordinated through the right place through West Michigan called Tech Week, and they had a discount during that. But then the next year they were substantially higher. So the request, and I went back to Jason, and they were much more competitive and much more in line with what we were looking. So I was grateful for the first year. We came in under budget, and but from the amount of material we took in, if they would have charged us, it would have been in the ballpark of what they talked about. So I'm just thankful the first year we were able to get a good deal.
Any other questions, comments, motions?
Mr. Chairman,
Vice Chairman Peterson.
I'd move to approve the funding to host the 2026 electronics event as presented to come out of the Public Improvement Fund.
Support. It's been moved and supported. Discussion. Hearing no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you to each of you for what you do in here. I know it's not easy. I read the paper, I read Elizabeth's articles, and just as one person that reads the paper as a private citizen and whatever, thank you for what you do. So I don't know all the things that you have to prepare for, but just know that when I read that, Brenda's always been a good partner as far as email back and forth. So gratitude from this individual, and just letting you know that. So I will.
We already said yes.
I should have said that before, but
Yeah, you were a little mistimed there. It's all right. We appreciate it.
next year I'll be like, I'll
You
bring
know,
up
come in,
cookies
yeah.
and donuts.
There you go. Guns blazing.
Okay, well, thanks, Adam and everybody.
Thank you.
Our 4:30, we have Eric Trigstad with us to discuss flock safety and the automated license plate reader cameras. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me. All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Thank you for your time today. My name is Erickson Trigstad. I see many familiar faces on the board, and I know many of you know my mother as well. I grew up on a farm here in Montcalm County, 80 acres out my back door with free reign of it, and spent my time in the summers cruising the streets around my grandparents' house, Sheridan. And when I look at our community, I see the neighbors and the grit and the values that raised me. Our rural townships have managed public safety for generations using human intelligence, neighborly trust, and common sense. We still believe in the foundational ideals of a free people, the individual right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. This county is small town America, and our hardworking communities are quickly becoming the last bastions of freedom in this country. But I also stand before you today wearing another hat. I spent 22 years in uniform, taking a solemn oath to protect and defend the United States Constitution. During those more than 2 decades, I honorably remained completely nonpartisan and out of local politics. I break that silence today because I see a modern threat to our community's freedom, our privacy, and our financial independence that I just can't ignore anymore. I'm here to urge this board in the strongest possible terms to outright reject any current or future contract proposals from Flock Safety. We are mostly untouched by this mass surveillance. I understand that we've got some in Greenville now. This mass surveillance infrastructure, giving this board a rare opportunity to act proactively and protectively before a corporate contract lands on any of your desks. Now, their sales pitches sound safe. Marketing reps call it simple, harmless crime fighting tool. But let's set the glossy brochures aside and look at what the technology actually does. These are not standard security cameras that are looking at a single public building or just one license plate. These are networked AI-powered cameras. They're tracking nodes designed to build a domestic dragnet. They do not just scan for stolen vehicles. The software builds permanent, searchable visual profiles of everyday local traffic. It tracks what time our farmers haul grain, what routes our families take to church, what bumper stickers are on your truck, and exactly who drives next to whom or interacts with whom. It has the capability to turn our public township roads into a digital fence where ordinary law-abiding citizens are treated like livestock, to be tracked, logged, and categorized by an out-of-state corporate entity. As someone who wore the uniform, I'm here to tell you that this is military-grade tracking tech being turned directly onto the civilian populace. It tracks every single citizen continuously, without specific suspicion, and without individualized probable cause, and without a warrant signed by a judge. This technology turns justice upside down, treating everyday Michiganders as a suspect until proven innocent. We do not surrender our constitutional rights the moment we start our engines and drive down a county road. Let us call this what it is. It's a direct violation of our foundational laws. This technology is entirely repugnant to the Bill of Rights. First, it violates the Fourth Amendment by executing a warrantless, permanent dragnet search of innocent citizens without individualized probable cause. Law enforcement requires a standard of suspicion to track a citizen. These systems search and log everyone by default, just in case they do something wrong. Second, it violates the Fifth Amendment and due process by allowing the use of algorithmic profiling and evidence laundering via parallel construction, subtly shifting the burden of proof onto ordinary folks. Third, when our working class neighbors know that every single trip out of their driveway is permanently digitized, mapped, and stored, it creates a chilling effect on the quiet independence of rural life. If the unadvertised audio capture features are activated, which is what their gunshot detection systems are designed to do, it directly threatens the First Amendment right to free assembly, forcing neighbors to self-censor in their own communities. If the constitutional violations are not enough to make this board pause, the severe legal, cybersecurity, and federal liability risks should. Under the National Defense Authorization Act, the federal government strictly bans the procurement of surveillance hardware containing components from Chinese military-linked companies like Dua or Hikvision due to severe espionage risks. Yet, independent industry watchdogs and hardware teardowns committed by brave patriots who have taken the risk the rest of us don't have to, have explicitly exposed that Flock Safety has built its hardware on top of these exact blacklisted Chinese components, repackaging them inside an American software subscription. By placing these unsecured devices along the critical infrastructure of our major regional transit corridors, we are creating a hackable tracking map of our citizens and our logistical supply lines. Many local boards are tempted to purchase these systems using Department of Homeland Security or federal traffic grants. I asked this board and the folks of Greenville that are we prepared to face federal audits or risk our country's entire federal grant portfolio because we used public funds to launder banned foreign hardware into our local streets? Independent security researchers have already caught these systems leaking live, unencrypted data streams into the open internet without password protections. This is a massive cyber vulnerability and a legal compliance trap right in our backyard. Worse yet, Flock's business model relies on a predatory economic trap for local governments known as a surveillance as a service. You can't buy these cameras. You enter into a zero ownership lease. You spend thousands of public dollars to rent hardware you will never own. Tech sale reps intentionally target local boards when federal grant money is flowing to make the system look free at launch. But federal grants dry up eventually. And when this county inevitably hits that grant cliff, the residents of this county will either face a millage to maintain the contract or have to break the contract. Fun part is if we break that contract, the cameras stay up. And then they sell that camera and that data and that information to third-party data brokers or to other law enforcement agencies that aren't local to us. In some cities, they've even had to cover them with trash bags after they've decided to remove their contract because they're not allowed to touch them once the contract's broken. You don't own them. So when that day comes, we'll be forced to make a choice. Do you raise taxes or to line the pockets of an out-of-state corporation, or do you cut funding for other essential services that we have here in this county? Finally, we must look at the corporate culture of who we are getting into bed with. Recently, the Flock CEO, Garrett Langley, was forced to issue a public apology for labeling peaceful privacy advocates such as the Flock terroristic organizations, simply because they mapped where public cameras were placed. When a multi-billion-dollar government contractor views a citizen regarding the Bill of Rights as an enemy of the state, their corporate culture is completely toxic. We do not need, they want a one-way mirror, total transparency into your life while hiding their own contracts behind non-disclosure agreements. Now, let me be entirely clear. I'm not opposed to technology. I recognize the immense value that modern tools can provide to our law enforcement officers, but I want to see that technology in a better, more honorable form. If this county is ever going to utilize surveillance tools, it must be an owned system that we locally control. We need a system that is fundamentally protected by the Fourth Amendment rights, built with strictly limited access points and completely open for public audits if needed. We must demand a partner company that refuses to sell our tracking data to third-party brokers or corporate insurance companies. We do not need a weaponized corporate monopoly. We need an honest, transparent tool that respects the citizens of Montcalm County. We don't have to be the guinea pigs for this corporate overreach. Communities right here in Michigan are waking up. The Westland City Council recently voted to completely dismantle and remove their flat cameras because they realized the financial drain and community division wasn't worth it. Milford is actively canceling their contracts due to intense public backlash, and Bay City outright rejected them. We do not need a multi-billion-dollar private corporation selling us a fear-based high-tech gadget we never asked for. Actual community safety relies entirely on trust between residents and local leaders. When a government deploys an unaccountable surveillance force, that trust is shattered. I didn't bring a stack of handouts today, and I'm not asking you to take my words as facts. One of the truest and most sacred freedoms we possess in this country is the ability to look past mainstream talking points, do our own independent research, and arrive at our own conclusions. I urge each of you to exercise that freedom. Look into the fine print of these contracts yourself. Talk to the independent security watchdogs, and most importantly, look past the corporate sales pitches and reach out directly to the working class constituents of who elected you to protect their liberty. Local level government is the last true check on this system. You have the ultimate authority to protect our public right-of-ways and our budget. I urge this board to introduce a protective county ordinance, a legacy measure ensuring that public funds will never be used to procure, lease, or support automated mass surveillance dragnets in our jurisdiction. Let's draw a line in the dirt right here. Let's show the rest of the state that Montcalm County still stands for fiscal responsibility, common sense, and individual liberty. Let's protect our budget, uphold our oaths, and keep a small town America free. Thank you for your time, and I welcome any questions.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have any questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Mr.
Eric,
Johnson.
thanks for the presentation today, and you actually bring up some very good thoughts to ponder. But I'm going to be, perfectly honest with you. I'm not on the bandwagon of anything until I get some time to look into it, right?
Understood.
We don't have, from what I understand of all the approvals that the sheriff's brought for us, any flock or any other cameras that he's talking about putting up right now currently. But if something like that were to come up in the future, I would absolutely take a very keen eye to it.
Well, on it's Surveillance Atlas. It's a listing of all the surveillance places in Michigan, and Greenville, Michigan is listed as already signed up for flat cameras, the gunshot detection systems, and a drone. And I believe it's Mr. Brian Bloomstrom. Did I get that right?
Mhm.
Okay. I think that he's the head of.
He is the chief over there.
Okay. And so my understanding is that there is an active component, like that they're being ready to install some of this infrastructure.
There's already one up.
Mhm.
It's by the gas or the car wash. And just are you're done, Commissioner
Yeah,
Johnson?
go ahead.
Just to piggyback off what Jack's saying, I do appreciate you coming in here and normally we just get 3 minutes of people screaming at us about something and this is a little bit more in depth. So I do appreciate it. The one problem I do have with things like this, and this isn't a plus or minus about this, but like with Greenville, we have no control over what they do. They're their own entity. We don't get to say, hey, you can do this, you can't do that. And just like literally every other municipality. So, I mean, we can say on county grounds, yeah, we're never going to have flock cameras because we can control that. As far as even here in Stanton, that's the city leaders that have that kind of pull. I mean, I can't lie, and I know all these guys do too. We get emails from Flock, I would say once a week, if not twice a week. And before all of this attention was brought to it, I would just cruise by it just like any other junk email. But I mean, to echo what Commissioner Johnson's saying, I'm not going to make any decisions outside of, I know that we're not going to have any opportunity to even deal with this. I don't believe. I mean, I'll look into it when the time comes, but I don't think our sheriff is even anywhere as close to being able to do any of that. I don't know where he would put them inside of his jurisdiction. And maybe you can enlighten me on that.
Well, and so the thing is I guess I don't know if they get to put them up on the rest of the roads just because that's the right of way of the state or whatever, or MDOT. But if they're sending you emails, it's because they want your business.
Mhm.
So to say that you don't have any say in it is, I would say, is kind of false because they're already trying to get you to have a say in it.
Well, and it's probably generated from a whole mass email list of, just elected officials.
Oh yeah,
I
every
would
elected
assume.
official, absolutely. But these are predatory things, and I guess across the state, these are being heard in rooms just like this. So, and their citizens asking them to repeal these. And so I guess if we have to go by city or municipality by municipality, then I guess so be it, because that broadens my fight. But now I've got all of you aware of what's going on. And I guess if that's the case, I don't think we're going to be in any danger of having them on dirt roads at any point in time, but they've found them all the way out in game areas and stuff like that. I mean, the closest one to us currently is north of Cedar Springs up by 131, 19-mile area. So that's pretty rural out there. The bottom line is it's just it's a scary thing. I think that there's 100 when I talked to Mr. Carr about this 2 weeks ago, there was 114,000 cameras in the United States. And since then there's been an additional 15,000 added. So it's not something that's going away. This is not a government entity that we're not working with a law enforcement or FBI or, this is a third party company. And the government in some ways is circumventing what they are and are not allowed to do by using this third party company as basically a contractor, like we did with companies like KBR and all, Blackwater and stuff like that in Iraq. They got these contractors to do the things that they're legally not allowed to. And I think that if anything, I hope that it gets more awareness of that out to the citizens, because this is coming, and if we don't get ahead of it, there's no stopping it.
Well, and we've talked before, especially when the 2A thing was very big, and we've had other causes like this come before us. We can put anything on paper that we wanted to say, we as a board don't like this. We want to ban these in Montcalm County. Unfortunately, all the municipalities override anything we say anyway. So
Okay.
if we say we're not going to have flat cameras in Montcalm County, well, Greenville's already got one. They can say, well, we're going to put in 4 more or whatever it is. And so that's where you would think a hierarchy would be created or would be in place, but it's actually reversed. We don't have any say in what they do.
Well, then that's very good to know. Thank you.
Right.
Well, and we as a county also don't own the right of way. That's all the road commission. So really, I mean, the only, like Adam said earlier, the only thing we can stop them from doing is putting them on county parks, in my eyes.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, great if that's something we can do, because they say they're license plate readers and you see them in parks all over the place. So that's not what they really are.
But you have raised awareness today with this group.
Oh, for sure.
And, if our sheriff comes before us in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever, we're all gonna, take a pause, on that and look into it a lot deeper. And so, I appreciate you coming in, and you really raised an issue that I wasn't really that, aware of.
Well, and a lot of people weren't. So thank you for entertaining me.
Erickson, I appreciate you coming in, and I want you to know that I understand like the legal part that your concerns and the violation of the Constitution and all that, and I wholeheartedly stand with you there, and I appreciate everything you had to say.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Eric.
Thank you.
Next is correspondence. Vice Chairman Peterson with tonight's correspondence.
All right, we
please.
got a big one today. First up is the fiscal year 2025 Homeland Security Grant Program request. If I remember anything about this, Eric is in the audience and will tell you that for some reason they do this funky where it's last year's grant that they have to approve this year, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
FY23 is soon to be closed out. So
Right.
their timeline is not necessarily our timeline.
So this is something we do every year, or have done every year for the last, what has it been, 3-4 years? 3 years?
It's been quite a while. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been just
More than that?
where police stuff.
Okay. So if nobody has anything to say about this, I would move to approve the fiscal year 25 intergovernmental agreement and allow for the appropriate signatures.
Been moved and supported. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next up is the warrant reports. First up, warrant report 07162026, in the amount of $208,983.99. Next, warrant report 07232026, in the amount of $312,257.58. Finally, warrant report 07272026, in the amount of $618,478.82 for a grand total $1,139,720.39.
Correct.
Perfect. So if nobody has anything about the warrant reports, I would move to approve and allow for the appropriate signatures.
It's been moved and supported to approve the 3 warrant reports totaling $1,139,720.39. Discussion. If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, next consent agenda, items 5 through 13 are on there. Filled with blight enforcement agreements, some quarterly, monthly reports. If no one has any questions, comments, concerns, I would move to place items 5 through 13 of the consent agenda on file.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve the consent agenda items 5 through 13 as presented. Discussion. If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, and then for your information, the Montcalm Housing Commission minutes, Veterans Advisory Board minutes, and finally, resolutions from Washtenaw County in financial support of Planned Parent of Michigan. I would assume that's Planned Parenthood, and I would bet that was an interesting meeting to go to. If nothing else, that will be your board correspondence for Monday, July 27th.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Peterson.
Thank you.
Next is committee reports. We have one budget work session minutes from July 17th. Vice Chairman Peterson, please.
I don't believe that I have the minutes in front of me. I do now. Budget work session Friday, July 17th, called to order at 1 p.m. Members present: Alexander, Carr, Johnson, Johnston, Mahar, Murray, Peterson. No one was absent. Others present. There were others present. Public comments were offered. None were given. We did a lot of discussions about said budget as it was presented. There is 3 pages here, and we were all there, so we know what took place. Public comments were offered at the end of the meeting, and none were given. It was moved by Commissioner Murray and supported by Commissioner Johnston to adjourn the meeting at 2:54. So I would respectfully submit these minutes and ask that they be placed on file.
Been moved and supported to place the budget work session minutes from July 17th on file. Discussion. If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Up next is new business. Item 1, clerk correspondence.
I don't have.
Item 2, controller correspondence.
The only thing I have is a reminder about the collective bargaining folks, especially that we will have FOP and IAEP contracts due this year for negotiation, and I have already been contacted by FOP, just haven't received the letter asking to start that process yet. I presume I'll get it in August, so I will keep you up to date on that.
Okay. Item 3 is the chair board correspondence. I don't have anything. Anyone else on the board have any correspondence? If none, there's old business next. We don't have anything. Public comments.
I would move to adjourn.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.